My name is Marcus Papay. I started a lighting company about 3.5, 4 years ago. It actually started with this light. I was playing with this material, fiberglass and carbon fiber, and kind of just creating forms with it because it enabled me to be very sculptural with the material. And I was doing kind of like big vase forms that led me to get into the lighting element. I've always been a functional maker, and it was actually very difficult for me to make the transition from functional to being in art school in a thesis program where they wanted conceptual work to come with the function. So there was a lot of development in that time that led me to kind of push function to the side and explore kind of just my creativity with the materials. When I finished the program at SDSU, I had to start making objects that actually generated income. So it led me towards a product. Making a product that I can have the templates, everything set up, allowed me to produce the object much quicker, and I had a lot more control over kind of the time frame it takes to make it, the amount it's going to cost me to make it. There was no like bidding out the piece, so it was basically I get an order, I know exactly how long it takes to make it. And I chose lighting because it is a functional thing, but it also enables you to be very sculptural. So this was kind of the beginning of that, which I'm now working out the business side of having a design company. So that's where I'm at with the sinuous line. So this material comes in a roll, basically like yarn, and it's just a big industrial-sized roll of fiberglass, and they use it for chopper guns, which like they line bathtubs with and stuff. So it injects epoxy into the material, chops it up, and spits it on. So that's what the material is made for. So I kind of took that idea. I always look to industry like for my processes because they've got it all figured out. So I took that kind of process and I devised my own machine that makes this strand. It takes the material, puts it through an epoxy basin. It goes through kind of a pinhole, which strains off any excess epoxy, rolls up onto the form, which allows me, as I'm rolling it, it allows me to make the design with, by hand while it's being rolled. So, never, none of them are ever going to be exactly the same. And it's interesting. It's the time of year, my mood, how hot is it, the moisture in the air, everything like changes the way the material kind of rolls on to the form. So they come out very differently depending on when I'm doing it. And then I attach the wood, basically one veneer before I roll it over it, one veneer on top of it, so while it's still wet, clamp it all down, and then once it sets, I pop the form out from the inside. I have some cleanup to do on the walnut trim, so I clean that up and then finish it, and that's a wrap. So the process takes only about 20 minutes. It takes a full day to cure, plus some. So it's like, if you take it out a day later and you set it down, it could still slump. So basically after like 3 or 4 days, it becomes fully hardened, giving it stability. And I went through tons of offshoots. So some of them, I learned that I had to cross it at more of an angle, or it would, turn into this thing that wasn't stable. And now that I've got it dialed in, like the machine is the first one that I made that I'm still using. So it looks weird. It's like this strange object, and everyone that comes in goes, what is that? You know, it looks like a bingo like wheel, and then it's got like, you know, it's all steel, so it's kind of like all stuck together. It looks like nowhere near an industrial machine at all. So, and I kind of like that about it. You know, I've thought about remaking the machine like so many times, but I'm like, you know, it's got this like character to it, and it's probably hindering me because it like, it gets stuck sometimes and it messes up, but it's still like, it's the first one, and I don't know, kind of staying true to the first. And kind of the whole point of, or the whole drive of me coming to this process was to create an object that somebody in the industry can't just reproduce over and over and over and, you know, like steal the design. So like you can steal the form, it's nothing new. It's like a, you know, pretty traditional mid-century kind of tripod form. But to make this process happen, which is, to me, is like, this is the whole piece, is like, you know, seeing through this material, the light coming through it, shadows, everything. In order to reproduce this, either you'd have to do this, hire someone to do that by hand, which, you know, it's going to take time, and you got to have the machines, and then most people would just put like a, you know, a film this as like the structure, which totally takes away from that, like, you know, just the interest in the material itself.